Welcome back to a very special episode of Cody Builds. We're moving out of the garage and into the hangar. And I want to thank all of you because had you guys not subscribed and not watched the videos, I would have never been able to afford my own private plane. I'm just kidding, it's not really mine. It's my brother-in-law's. There's a really cool story behind this plane and it's personal to our family. And because of Ellsworth, the pickup truck, and that being my grandfather's truck and having a really cool story behind it, I really wanted to share this story with you because first of all, look how cool this plane is. It's just really cool, but also the story is incredible. So at this point, I'm going to introduce you to my brother-in-law, Todd, and have him tell you a little bit about the story. Okay, everybody, this is my brother-in-law, Todd. This is his plane, but more importantly to the story, before this was his plane, this was his father's plane. So I have you, Todd, go ahead and tell us a little bit about this plane and how you acquired it.
To start the story off, my dad, he grew up in the farmland of Illinois. And he always looked to the skies to see these planes flying over. He wanted to get out of the farm country and into the sky. He chased his dreams, which led him to Colorado. And when you're learning how to fly, it costs a lot of money to rent the plane. So he was able to purchase his own plane to build his hours. And from what I'm told, if you learn how to fly in one of these, you're going to be a pretty good pilot because to fly a tail dragger aircraft is a little bit different than any other airplane.
When you say tail dragger, you mean back here?
Yes.
Obviously, this has some gear back here on the tail, and you literally drag the tail down the runway when you land.
Yes. And what makes it more challenging is this vintage of aircraft, it's 1946. You have to use your feet to actually steer this thing, which controls the rudder on the back there. And it's a lot more important in this old plane to use your hands and your feet to fly it than it is in most typical airplanes that we have today. So for that reason, he was considered to be a fairly good pilot from learning in this way. He owned it for a short time. I was a small child at the time, and he'd since sold it and moved on to the airlines. And in 1982, he had a crash when he was working for the airlines in a bad storm. Wasn't really his fault, but he passed away in that crash. Didn't deter my dreams from wanting to be a pilot someday. And what he always told me was, he said, Todd, you should get a job where you could buy your own plane and fly where you want, when you want to fly. He said, I love my job, but I have to fly where they tell me, when they tell me. So fast forward a whole bunch of years, I get married, have some kids, and once my kids started getting older, I realized I don't really have any hobbies. So I thought, well, I'm gonna learn how to fly. So as I'm learning to fly, my mom digs up some old photographs of this aircraft, and it has a tail number. That tail number on the tail there actually helped me to identify and locate where it was. I made a phone call to the airport in the town that this plane was registered to. I started to describe this plane to the woman that answered the phone, and she said, yeah, I know where it is. It's in the hangar right behind me. Do you want to buy it? Well, at the time, I didn't have my license yet. I was still working on it. And furthermore, I needed a tail dragger endorsement on top of that. But that kind of started me dreaming about maybe buying it one day. And so here we are, 2025, and I finally got it.
Yeah, and you've had it about a month now?
Maybe 3 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, so this is freshly acquired. And I just love the fact that, you know, you were able to find this plane. It was in this condition, which is actually incredible to me.
Yeah,
you know,
it wasn't
when you told
in the
me,
junkyard.
Yeah, when you told me that you found your dad's plane and, you know, it wasn't operable, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. You said it wasn't operable, and I'm thinking, oh man, this thing's going to be a money pit. But when you sent me the picture, I was like, oh my goodness, it's actually incredible. Like, it's a beautiful aircraft. So now tell us a little bit about the plane. It's what year did you say it was?
1946 Luscombe. It was built after the war, and back then they had Cessnas were real popular. There were a few other small companies that were pretty popular because all the pilots getting out of the war, they figured, would be wanting to continue flying, and this was a economical way to get into flying. So, yeah, that's a post World War II aircraft.
Overhead wings, right?
Overhead wings that are covered in fabric, which right now the wings have the fabric off of them and they need to be recovered. So that's my first project is to get those wings covered, and once they're covered, we'll put them on and hopefully get it up in the air.
So interestingly, you know, these are the frames of the wings here. I don't know. I know nothing about planes. So when you told me these were fabric covered, that was really interesting to me. I was thinking, oh man, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, so basically you stretch a canvas over these, right? And then they soak that canvas in a chemical that's called dope, right?
That's
and that will shrink the canvas further.
They'll heat it up. It'll harden the material, and I think it'll shrink it just a little bit, but that's where it'll get its hardness from.
Okay. And what's the full wingspan on this plane? Because I was surprised at how small the fuselage is. You know, we're just in a garage, and this is a big garage, but it's you know, you brought it home on a 20
it's 20 feet.
It's
in
20
length,
feet long. You brought it home on a 24 foot trailer. My dad's skid steer trailer. So I was really surprised by that. But then you see the length of these wings, and you know, you take that times 2 plus the little bit up there.
We'll be about 30 feet wingspan.
30 foot wingspan. So wider than it is long, which is pretty neat.
The wings are so big because back then the motors were not that powerful, so bigger wings helped compensate for.
You want to tell us a little bit about the engine?
I don't know all the specs on it just yet.
So go ahead, pop the hood for us.
So we have a 4-cylinder Continental engine. It's a 80 horsepower engine, which was a step up from the original ones. They were 60 horsepower. I think, or 60 or 65, I can't remember, but this has been freshly rebuilt engine about 100 hours ago, which in airplane terms is pretty good. That means I've got about 900 more hours before I have to rebuild it again, which I probably will never put that many hours on it, to be honest with you, but so it's like a brand new engine to me. I've got a rebuilt propeller, which is a brand new propeller on it. The people that had it before me were mechanics, and their project was they were going to just work on it, rebuild it, and resell it. So they didn't quite finish the project when I contacted them.
Basically, a flat plane 4-cylinder engine, right? So you have 2 cylinders on this side, 2 on the other. 80 horsepower, which, you know, you think about a plane and you would think that a plane would have a lot more horsepower, but again, thinking back, this is 1946. And the fact that you have this very light plane with a very large wingspan, you didn't really need a ton of power to get these things off the ground.
Well, the nice thing about it is the fuel burn is a lot less in this too. So compared to my Cherokee that my wife and I own, we're at 180 horsepower, and we're burning about 10 to 12 gallons per hour in that plane, and this will burn about 3.5 to 4.5 gallons per hour. So I can go up in this, spend all day long, and I'm $25 probably. You know, so a lot cheaper to fly.
Very cool.
There's no electrical system in it. To start it, we'll have to hand prop it, which means get in front of the propeller and spin it until it starts, which sounds kind of dangerous, but there's no radios in there, no lights, nothing. So it'll be
all the linkages are all either cable or mechanical connections, right?
Yes. There's nothing electrical in there, really, except the ELT, the emergency locator transmitter.
Okay. It is a 2-seater. It is a small, on the small side, cockpit.
It'll be tight with you and I in there.
What did you say the weight capacity is for this? Do you remember?
We can take about 600 pounds between the two of us and some luggage.
Okay.
Something like that. So not a lot.
Does that account for fuel?
You have to count that in there.
You have to include the fuel. Okay. And what kind of capacity do you have for?
We've got 14-gallon fuel tank and fuel is 6 pounds per gallon.
Okay.
So you have to take that into
Yeah.
calculation. But we've
Very
got a
cool.
small luggage space right there, which is full of stuff
Okay.
right now. But
And
that's all
parts
you
and
get for
stuff.
luggage.
All right.
75-pound maximum weight in that.
So speed, you got mile per hour, RPM, oil pressure. Is that altimeter on the side there?
Yes. Yep.
Manifold pressure.
Yep.
And then this is your degrees of
Vertical,
climbing.
vertical speed, up or down.
Vertical
Yep.
speed, okay. And then this is your,
That's called your turn coordinator.
coordinator,
So when you turn these, you want to make sure that that little black ball is in the center, or else you'll be leaning one way or the other.
Sure.
And that's where the rudder pedals come into play in these old planes.
okay, very cool. And then a compass, obviously, so very cool. Now I see 2 joysticks in there, so is this like you can fly this from either side of the plane?
That's correct. The only difference is, if you look down here, you'll see some heel brakes, which is different from most aircraft today. We have toe brakes.
Yeah, so down here, these are the heel brakes he was talking about. Heel brakes here, and then you've got your rudder pedals. So there's only the heel brakes on the left side,
Yes.
none on the right.
Which typically you don't really need brakes on these. You landing on a grass strip most of the time, and it'll stop pretty
Little
pretty
fuel
quick.
shut off over here. I really like that the window up here, and Todd was saying that that's actually very functional. The window up
Yes,
there.
when you're coming in for a landing in a high wing aircraft and you're making your turns, when you turn in the wings down, you can't see if there's anybody over there. So with that window, you look through that window and you can see if there's any traffic in that direction.
One of the things that I thought was really cool about this plane is the wings, and you know we're talking about that they have to be canvas covered. And when you inquired back, what'd you say when you asked about
2022.
2? Okay. Back in 2022, the wings needed to be covered, right? But at that time, they were covered, but they were out of service because there's a lifespan.
The fabric was deemed non-airworthy because of the type of fabric that was on there. The paint that was on it, I think, something about it, it was not airworthy.
Okay.
So they had to they wanted to take it off. We were just going to fly it with that fabric and fly it here and then get their wings recovered here by obtaining a ferry permit, so you can get a special, permission to fly the plane while it's in that condition. And they ended up taking the fabric off, and when they did, they found that the metal was, the aluminum was delaminating, which is a good thing that they did that, because now I know that ahead of time, and they actually have a different set of wings that I have that still need to be recovered, but these are not delaminated, they're in good shape.
The cool thing I think about this is, like, obviously not just anyone can do the work on these planes, right? You have to be certified to be an airplane mechanic.
Right. Now, if it was considered experimental class, then you can do your own work on it. And there's some things that you can do. There's a list of things you can do, but certain things like that, the covering of the wings, is definitely, it needs to be overseen by a certified mechanic.
So one of the things that I thought was really neat is that through your connections, you connected with someone who, and correct me if I get any part of this wrong, but basically, through some connections, you found basically a school that trains airplane mechanics, right?
It's a school that just trying to develop interest in the youth today, and they work on planes, and I'm hoping that they can maybe use this. They said they were looking for a project, and when they heard about it, they said they'd like to do it.
I just think it's really cool that that opportunity's out there for kids to learn something mechanical, and you know, like, it's just a cool project to help kind of support kids that are trying to get into the trades, which is a neat thing.
Absolutely.
Kind of wanted to point that out.
There's not a lot of people covering fabric wings these days.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So unfortunately, you did also tell me that you can't modify the engine in any way. It has to stay completely stock.
Well, if I have to do any modification, I'd have to check into that. But as far as I know, it has to be certified by the FAA and the aircraft company.
So that's really disappointing because we were going to put like a Holly Sniper on there.
Yes.
We were going to maybe a supercharger or something.
Yeah.
No, but no, it's really cool. And I just think it's such a neat looking plane for one. But then the story on top of that just makes it really special, I think. So.
I've had some great people helping me get this airplane here. Some people that were just pivotal in all of it, from teaching me how to fly it and just having extensive knowledge about this special type of aircraft and the experience in just building them, taking them apart, flying them. He's been a tremendous help through all of it. And on top of that, my father-in-law getting me set up with the trailer and everything I needed to load this thing up. Even though he couldn't go with me, he made sure that I had everything I needed. So I couldn't have done it without the help of a lot of great people.
So really the first thing, obviously, is having the wings repaired, right? But besides that, do you have any other plans for this plane?
Right now, while the wings are in the shop, I'm probably going to polish the aluminum, maybe clean up the interior.
It actually looks in pretty good shape until you're right up close to it, and then you can see some oxidation and stuff in there and some like scratches and things. But really, it's in pretty good shape. Now, what's funny is I have, like on Ellsworth on my truck, I've got those wheels with the polished aluminum lips. And I've already discovered that like they are such a pain to keep clean.
Oh, man.
And so I'm thinking, I see this and I'm thinking like, ooh, you're gonna polish this whole plane? That's pretty ambitious, but it's gonna look so cool when it's done. So
well, and I was told that that's really the only way to keep it that way is to continually polish it.
Yeah, unfortunately that is the case. There's not much you can do once it's polished out. If you want it to look that way, you just gotta keep up with it. But no, it's very cool. So all right, Todd. Well, thank you so much for showing us your plane.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. And thanks for sharing your story too, because I just find it so neat. And you know, we're gonna throughout this video, I've thrown up some clips and stuff of you can actually see Todd as a little kid sitting in this same exact plane. So to bring everything like full circle, like I have a pretty good idea of how much this plane probably means to you, because that's how I feel about my grandpa's pickup truck, you know. And having those few memories, you know, of like getting to experience that and all the memories it brings back is a cool thing. So
for sure.
So I appreciate you sharing that story with us and sharing your plane. It's very cool. So as always, guys, if you don't work on your projects, whether it's a plane or a truck or whatever it may be, they will not work on themselves. Get out in the garage, get building, and I'll see you on the next episode of Cody Builds.